What's up everybody, it's La Muerte Blanca and we are back with another explained video where we speedrun the retelling of complicated game stories with plenty of jokes along the way. This time we are discussing Kurohyou 2. If you're one of those that cannot spare the 20 plus hours needed to play it, don't worry, I got you. We are back with our man Ukyo Tatsuya, a year after the events of the first game. He's been in the US floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee, preparing to become a boxing pro in Japan. But now Tatsuya and his sponsor are back in Japan preparing for a press conference. The night before, Tatsuya decides to visit Kamurocho because that's always a good idea. Almost immediately, he finds some kid getting mugged by a gang called Ashura, and because talking through your problems doesn't work in these games, Tatsuya starts punching instead. Kid's name is Shinji, and as they are walking, he explains Ashura showed up about a month ago and has been randomly beating up the local gangs. Shinji, not knowing he's talking to a Fight Club legend, says he's a fighter. Tatsuya's over here like, bitch please, you skinny as fuck, until Shinji invites him to his fight at Dragon Heat. Tatsuya stares at his fist and has a flashback montage because Japanese media loves that trope, but the reminiscing is quickly interrupted by Shinji's people. Japanese Ken doll is Makoto, dude cosplaying the Fonz is Yuta, and can't see my eyes even though my glasses are clear is Tamatsu. Fancy suit guy is Kurohyou, the son of the yakuza that played Tatsuya in the first game. Tatsuya watches Shinji fight Skinny Balrog and can't believe these young punk kids are actually fighting. Kurohyou explains that after his father's death, Nyoka was running Dragon Heat, but he ran it into the ground because he's an incompetent asshole. Kurohyou then got it back when he traded all of the Kuki clan's territory for it. Kurohyou's goal was to return Dragon Heat to its former glory, where a boy can test his strength and become a man. Like if Nickelodeon started a fight club. Later that night, Tatsuya meets with his sister, who's not his real sister, and Tenma. They're proud of Tatsuya's success, but our man is having second thoughts. Too much character development in that last game. Also that night, a shadowy blonde guy sticks his Tony Jaa attack dog on Ryusha's office. Once dude is done making everyone smell his knee, blonde guy who looks like a dog the bounty hunter rolls up on Ryusha. This is Akita, leader of Ashura, a martial arts organization based in Osaka. His crackerjack ass face pulls up like, we're expanding into Tokyo, give us Dragon Heat. Ryusha politely says, the fuck you are, then Akita fires back saying the Tojo are supporting the takeover. What? And just in time, Nyoka's two-faced self rolls up. Long story short, Nyoka did a bunch of shady colluding to back Kurohyou into a corner, and is more or less forcing him to agree to a bet. Dragon Heat and Ashura will have a series of fights. The first organization to win 8 fights keeps Dragon Heat. Hold up, is Nyoka the reason Ashura is roaming around Kamurocho beating up all the gangs? No one will fight for Dragon Heat if Ashura already messed them all up. If Ryusha doesn't agree to the bet, Dragon Heat will simply lose all their money because they don't have any fighters left. Shinji's pissed and goes after Okita, the fake Tony Jaa guy. Not to be confused with Akita, again, the head of the gang. Like these names aren't confusing enough. Tatsuya shows up, Okita talks his shit, and boom! Splatters Shinji across the fucking wall. Nyoka starts talking shit. Tatsuya looks like he wants to rip his smug head off as much as I do, and they leave so Tatsuya can take Shinji to the hospital. Tatsuya meets a desperate Ryusho. He is trying to fulfill his father's dream, so Tatsuya decides to say, screw it, to the fame, money, power, and everything else you get with a pro boxing contract. He's going to fight for Dragon Heat. Tatsuya is all like, this place is important. Sure, I was extorted into fighting for my life, but it developed my character and I got to meet my daddy. I need to stay true to my fighter's philosophy. The younger fighters are all hyped because Tatsuya is doing the Kiryu inspirational speech thing and jump on board too. Doing it for Shinji, doing it for Dragon Heat. Tatsuya tells his sponsor he's given up a lifetime opportunity for Fight Club, and here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the first fight between Dragon Heat and Ashura is here. Nyoka is rightfully worried. He's seen Tatsuya single-handedly drop all of his previous fighters. But Akita's all like, relax, baby. My Akita's got this. It's money in the bag, baby. Rightfully so, Tatsuya pulls up to the ring and the entire arena loses their shit. Legends never die. But Akita starts talking stuff and says this one will. For the homie Shinji, Tatsuya uses his signature skull crusher heel kick to boom! Level Akita and wipe that stupid smile off his face. Meanwhile, this butterball's at it again? Japanese porn stash, aka Tsurumi, and his secretary are talking about plans, including Ashura and Tatsuya. You can smell the collusion already. Also, he's not a police chief anymore. He's a governor. Ah, shit. Because RGG loves reusing assets and Kamurocho is getting stale, we are now in Sotenbori, Ashura's home turf. The city is doing their best United States impression because there's a gun epidemic. Modified guns are flooding the streets and people are getting shot, including Makoto. Then some punk with a gun rolls up on Tatsuya. Clearly he doesn't know who he's messing with, but learns when Tatsuya's foot breaks his wrist. Kid turns into a sniffing little bitch, squeals, and then learns that the guy with an Ashura tattoo sold him the gun and put the hit on Tatsuya. Ryusho takes Makoto to the hospital while Tatsuya goes after the weapons dealer, this guy that looks like a cyberpunk NPC. Dude points a gun at Tatsuya, says Meteor Suzuki will be his next opponent, and then that's it. Tatsuya just leaves. Tatsuya then runs into Shima from the first game. Because RGG loves unnecessarily long cutscenes, he goes on this complicated tangent about Ashura but doesn't actually say anything important until he mentions that he got beat up by Suzuki. Tatsuya does the scowl face and is all like, "We've been homies since we beat the shit out of each other at Dragon Heat. I'm not gonna let this rip clown disrespect you like that." But that's not all. Ashura has connections with the police. But really, if you know anything about this franchise, that's no surprise at this point. The first fight at Ashura's home turf is about to begin. Meteor Suzuki rolls up and immediately commits a luchador sin by removing his mask. It's the weapons dealer? Who now strangely looks like Street Fighter's Blanca? Fake Blanca might have holds and clinches, but he doesn't have hands, so Tatsuya gives him his. With Tatsuya's second win, Nyoka's starting to panic, but again, Akita's like, "Chill, baby. It's only 2 fights, my man Oba never loses." Even though he won, Tatsuya's hurt. Suzuki messed up his elbow. Then Japanese Chris Angel pulls a mind freak and randomly appears out of nowhere. He's Ashura's doctor and tells Tatsuya to go to the infirmary. Strangely enough, they don't go together because when Tatsuya opens the door, the doctor's just standing there, in the dark, by himself. Doc's name is Ryo, is blind, cures Tatsuya's elbow with a single needle prick, and is also a fortune teller. Definitely some suspicious dark magic shit going on in here. Ryo cautions Tatsuya to stop fighting Ashura, to which Tatsuya responds, "I don't believe in fate. My father's philosophy will make it my bitch while I do the same for these Ashura fighters. Thanks for fixing my elbow though." Back in Kamurocho, Tamatsu's getting his ass kicked. He might be a fighter at Dragon Heat, but he sucks. I mean, like 9 straight losses sucks. He's also sent for a hostess named Ruri that recently borrowed a bunch of money for music auditions because that's not sketchy at all. Surprise, surprise, it is. A member of Ashura is running a scouting scam where they loan money, and if the loanee can't pay, Ashura sells them into human trafficking. Tatsuya hears about the scam and hits up the florist for information. Oba, one of Ashura's people, is running the scam. He looks like that fat chick from Persona 4, but was actually a top-level sumo wrestler. Ruri is getting harassed by Oba, but Tamatsu's a bitch and won't do anything about it. The crew call him out for being a pussy and say he needs to fight Oba at Dragon Heat to protect the girl he loves, but he stays a bitch and runs away. They track him down and Ryusho tells Tamatsu to be a fucking man. Somehow this convinces him to fight, and Tatsuya's overdeveloped character turns him into a mentor. He imparts some fighter philosophy, doing his late father proud. During the fight, Ryusho shows up with Ruri? Why is she here? Ryusho did some digging and learned that she's actually a con artist and is working for Oba. Damn. Can't trust these hoes, man. PSA to all the homies out there, stop simping. Stay hard! Despite Tamatsu's best efforts, Oba messes him up. I mean, like, really messes him up. But man fights his demons enough to not run away. GG's for that, my dude. Ryusho cooks up some stories saying Ruri is leaving the city and gets her away from Tamatsu. He doesn't need that trick in his life anymore. Now it's Tatsuya's turn, and despite Oba being literally 3 times his size, not to mention Tatsuya's elbow injury wasn't that long ago, Oba bites off more than he can chew and gets his fat ass choked out. See what I did there? No? Okay. Following the fight, Japanese Chris Angel, aka Ryo, stops Tatsuya and predicts someone will die. Tatsuya is now walking around Kamurocho concerned about Ryo's predictions when he spots Yuta running away from his dad's pachinko parlor. He's had daddy issues ever since his mom died. Tatsuya ends up in an underground casino and finds Ryo. He still thinks the fortune teller is bullshit until homie accurately predicts the roulette table. What? Can he really see the future? As Tatsuya is leaving, Ryo clarifies his earlier prediction. A money-grubbing person will die. As he heads back toward the pachinko parlor, Yuta's dad is getting the shakedown because he owes a debt and this realtor guy is trying to buy the parlor. Yuta's still pissed because he thinks his dad only cares about money and runs away. Again. Dad explains the Nyoka family has been messing with his business and he was conned into co-signing a loan to help a friend, but the lender of his debt is affiliated with the Nyoka family. Real estate company, also Nyoka. Something's not right. Why do they all want this property so bad? Later that night, boom! Big ass truck runs straight through the pachinko parlor because that's not an overused trope, and Yuta's dad is all messed up. Tatsuya sees the suspicious homeless dude in the crowd. Tatsuya gets Yuta's dad to the hospital and discusses the homeless man with Ryusho. Tatsuya goes after the real estate guy trying to buy the parlor and learns Nyoka is trying to get the deeds for the whole area. But why? Just when we're about to get some answers, oh shit. Homeless dude pulls an Assassin's Creed level move when he slices realtor in the middle of a crowded street and slinks into the shadows. Is this the money grubbing man that's supposed to die? As he's dying, he says, Nyoka, Ashura, Vegas. Whatever that's supposed to mean. Tatsuya gives Yuta the key the realtor guy gave him. It's about his dad, and for the third time, Yuta runs away like a little bitch. Daddy issues are strong with this one. Tatsuya and Ryusho head back to the florist and find out the homeless dude is the assassin who's also working for Akira? Yuta finds documents that show his pops was actually a good dude. Now Yuta's crying again because he knows he's an asshole. At least he's not running this time. The next Ashura fight is starting, and Tatsuya's fighting BDSM Jesus? Actually, this is the assassin guy Tatsuya's been tracking. I'm not sure why he's wearing that. His greasy ass promises to answer Tatsuya's questions if he loses. So Tatsuya bodies this man into shock therapy, probably one of his kinks. And then when he wants answers, dude can't talk because he got his ass kicked that bad. Tatsuya will have to wait. Or not, because he gets a call sometime later and BDSM Jesus is dead. Damn it! Every time we're about to get some answers, someone dies. Ryo then cautions Tatsuya once more. If he continues down this path, he'll end up killing one of his own friends. Speaking of, Shinji's disappeared. Tamatsu said he did some suspicious rehab and is off to go kick things. They find a rehab flyer and after investigating determine it's likely another scam. On the back of it, they discover an underground bounty site that lists all the homies, but Shinji's not on that list. Nah, this dude is not betraying them. They go after Shinji for answers, and this asshole is waiting with a full squad ready to jump our guy. After putting all these peasants in their place, Shinji goes after our dude saying he's going to protect everyone. Makoto got shot, Tamatsu scammed, and Yuta's dad is dead, and Shinji's blaming Tatsuya. Clearly his dumbass has been deceived by Ashura. He attacks Tatsuya, who is instinctively ready to knock some sense into him until he suddenly remembers Ryo's prediction about killing a friend. Personally, I'd fuck Shinji and his little tantrum up, but Tatsuya's character is clearly more developed than mine, so he lets Shinji beat him up and then full on shank him. Like a good mentor father figure, Tatsuya's all like, you done? And then thwack! Ryusho gives him one for all of us, because screw this kid. A day later, Tatsuya wakes up in the hospital and learns the guy who set up Shinji is the next Dragon Heat opponent. You can't tell me this man is human, because he fights an entire gang, gets beat up and stabbed by Shinji, and just sleeps it off for a day. Now he's ready for the next Dragon Heat fight? Excuse me? Before the fight, Tatsuya sees Ryo, tells him and Fate to fuck off because he didn't kill the homie, and heads out to fight the Juggernaut. I'm the Juggernaut, bitch! They politely reconcile their differences by beating the shit out of each other, but Tatsuya is getting tired of Ashura messing with his people, so he kindly smashes dude's face in, and then crushes his skull with a nasty flying axe kick. I'll say it again, he recently got stabbed. After the fight, Shinji's all like, sorry I tried to kill you, and somehow it's water under the bridge. I'm sorry, what? I know Tatsuya's turned a new leaf and all, but really? As Tatsuya is leaving, he again runs into Ryo. Mindfreak continues to underestimate our guy, and this time he predicts he'll lose someone he cares about. Sometime later, Tatsuya's filling Tenma in on everything that's happened so far and asks Tenma to look into Ryo. Something's not right with the sus fortune teller. Also sus is that Nyoka wants to increase the stakes on the next fight. Extra sus is that Makoto got arrested for getting a creep off Tatsuya's sister, and extra super sus is that the sister got arrested too. What? Thankfully, Takanaka was able to get them out, but the owner of the mahjong parlor that Makoto works at, along with the owners of other legal gambling dens, have been detained. It's like they're being targeted. As the group discusses the next match, Takanaka informs everyone that the parlor owner committed suicide in his cell. Makoto is in shock because that guy was his father figure after leaving the orphanage, and he is convinced this man would not commit suicide. Just like all the other young fighters in this game, Makoto starts getting emotional and runs away. Tatsuya ends up finding him and plays mentor once again. Nogi would be so proud of his son. Eventually, Tatsuya is back in Sotenbori for the next fight, and Ashura is calling in one of Japan's best MMA fighters. As he's getting ready, he gets an email. His sister, who's not actually his sister, has been kidnapped. They need 20 million yen in 2 hours, and I'll give you one guess where they need to take it. That's right, Millennium Tower. No way this isn't a setup. 2 hours is not enough time to fight and get back to Kamurocho, but Tatsuya can't reschedule the match. Akita's playing dumb and says he'll agree to reschedule if Dragon Heat pays them a 100 million yen and they change the standings to a 6-6 tie instead of the current 5-1 in favor of Dragon Heat. Tatsuya remembers Ryo's latest prediction and once again tells fate to go fuck itself when he decides to stay and fight. They call Makoto, who's still in Kamurocho, and he starts searching for the sister, while Tatsuya fights Old Man Mutton Chops. Oh shit! Dude breaks Tatsuya's arm, but then boom! Gets his face crushed when Tatsuya makes him catch his other hand. After the fight, Ryusho's arranging flights to get back to Kamurocho, so Tatsuya heads to the infirmary to get his arm fixed. But wouldn't he have already visited the infirmary if his arm is taped up? Anyway, Tatsuya overhears Akita turning Mutton Chops into a piñata, and Ryo's giving orders to Akita. Hold up, is Ryo secretly running Ashura? As Ryusho and Tatsuya rush to Kamurocho, Makoto and a homie from his old orphanage are searching for the sister. Because there's no rush or anything, they take a quick second to reminisce, which prompts Makoto to remember this creepy shadow kid. Nah, Ryo went to the same orphanage as they did? Eventually they figure out where she is, and instead of taking a posse of delinquents to help save her, Makoto tells his boy to just go dig up info on Ryo. Makoto's going to save her by himself. Everyone in the city swear they're Kiryu. He's motivated to kick the hell out of an entire gang, which he somehow does. Now all that's left is their boss, Karate Bob Ross, but there's a catch. He's Ashura's suicide captain, planted a bomb on the sister, and Makoto has to take him out before it kills them all. Somehow the punk teenager, who already fought off an entire gang, manages to take out one of Ashura's best, stops the bomb with seconds to spare, and saves her. But like any good RGG hero, he forgot to check if the bad guy was really down.
Surprise, motherfucker!
He's not. Turns out Makoto beating up Bob Ross was a happy little accident because the dude didn't even try. Then he points a gun at Makoto, says Ryo's prophecy has to come true, and BAM! Tatsuya shows up in Kamurocho, because of course they're going to make you wait to find out what happened to Makoto. Good news is, I won't, so here you go. He's dead. Well, almost. Bop, bop, bop. Bob Ross painted the room with this man's blood. Bop, bop, bop. By emptying the entire clip in him. At least he saved Tatsuya's sister because the guy ran out of bullets. What kind of idiot bad guy doesn't bring extra rounds? Stupid. We get a very familiar scene when Makoto makes his peace with Tatsuya and finally passes away. As they mourn Makoto, his homie shows up to give Tatsuya the information he dug up on Ryo. Yes, they went to the same orphanage. Yes, he's reading a book that's significant if you actually think about it. And yes, that girl sitting next to him is related to this whole convoluted ass story. Tatsuya gets the girl's name but doesn't learn much else because the 7th fight is about to begin. Of course, it's no coincidence that he's fighting the suicide captain. Just like with all the other mentee plots, Tatsuya jacks up the Ashura boss to avenge his little homie. Catch these happy hands, Bob. Wait, didn't this man have a broken arm? Apparently, Tatsuya's Wolverine now. Ryu's chilling on the sideline, and Tatsuya's ready to give his blind ass hands too for kidnapping his sister and all the things he's been doing to the homies. And some of you might think my quotes are exaggerated, and you're not wrong. But Tatsuya literally looks at him and goes, "I'm gonna fuck you up." How's that for a prediction, Ryo? But fake Chris Angel doesn't care. He's too obsessed with his own predictions. The next one, you will lose this place. Soon after, Tatsuya turns on the news and the House of Representatives passed a casino bill. That sleazeball cop turned politician Tsurumi is planning to rebuild Kamurocho around one of these casinos and has a third-party security force to clean up the local gang activity. Which basically means this asshole now has a small army to deal with any remaining obstacles, and to the public eye, it all seems legit. It makes sense now. Nyoka's out here trying to take control of the local gambling dens, Japanese porn stash needs space for his casino, franchise fans have seen this plot before, and now his secretary is meeting with Ryo? He's working with Ashura? Is the casino why they're trying to take Dragon Heat? 2 days later, these rent-a-cops start messing with all the cabaret clubs too and arresting owners for petty stuff like being open literally 1 minute past the curfew. Eureka runs into our guys and tells them Ashura is in bed with Tsurumi. They figure out the motive behind this whole Dragon Heat situation and head back to the office to warn their people. But then the police are out here trying to arrest Ryusho? For what? Because there's a minor in his office, he's under suspicion for abducting minors. Are you fucking kidding me? Ryusho decides to go quietly because he doesn't want to stir any trouble for Tatsuya. And then we get Nyoka meeting with Tsurumi. Of course Ryusho's arrest was orchestrated by them, but then they start arguing because Tatsuya's screwing up the plan. Getting Dragon Heat without stirring the public was Nyoka's idea, but Ashura is involved because Tsurumi needed time to assemble the security force. Neither one is happy with the other. After Nyoka leaves, Tsurumi says they only need Dragon Heat to complete what they need for the casino that he's calling Komodo Vegas. Wait, is that why the realtor said Vegas when he died? Finally, the 8th fight, and Tatsuya's going against Steve from Tekken. I mean, Akita. Spoiler, Akita gets bodied, so naturally he agrees to start talking. We get his whole sob story, how Ashura was first conceived, how the world screwed him over, he gave up on life and Ryo saved him, blah blah, he lost his way, blah, change of heart, blah, Tatsuya, please stop Ryo, he's out of control, yeah, whatever, we get it. Akita, say something useful. Okay, Ryo's actually using Tsurumi, blam! And once again, as soon as we're about to learn something important, Akita gets shot. If Tsurumi wanted to solve this whole thing, why didn't he just shoot Tatsuya? Dumbass. As always, we don't get any real information, but Akita won't die without giving us a clue, so he whimpers, Cabaret Rouge. But and then he dies. Tatsuya takes a second to tell Makoto's grave that they won 8 fights when Ryo shows up. Why is this man always popping up like the butler from Mr. Deeds?
I am very, very sneaky.
Ryo also knows someone at the cemetery, a woman, who waited 3 years for a liver transplant. When it was her turn, it was given to someone else and she died. Tatsuya doesn't care and calls Ryo out like, we won, bitch, get your braille-ridden hands off Dragon Heat, and what the hell are you planning with Tsurumi's secretary? And once again, Ryo only gives a damn about his own predictions and doubles down on the latest one. Tatsuya will lose Dragon Heat and he will become a murderer. Tatsuya meets up with the homies, but Dragon Heat is locked down. They won 8 fights. It should be over, right? Wrong. Despite the effort Tatsuya put into fighting some of the world's best fighters, and even though they already won 8 fights, Ryusho surrendered anyway.
What? What the fuck?
Tatsuya goes after Ryusho and learns Nyoka ransacked his office and took everything. These douchebags then use Ryusho's seal and other shady tactics to force the sale of Dragon Heat from not Ryusho to Nyoka. Now Tsurumi has everything he needs for Komodo Vegas, and to Tatsuya's disgust, Ryusho's acting like he's just given up. But he's not, because he crashes Nyoka's office, drops all his boys, and starts talking to Nyoka like he finally grew a pair. Ryusho stole evidence of all of Nyoka's shady deals that would cause Tsurumi to cut ties with him if it got out. He also rallied the community against Nyoka because he's an asshole. Backed into a corner, Nyoka offers up the dirt he has on Tsurumi. Ryusho then takes the evidence to Tatsuya, and again, when things are finally going to be revealed, BAM! Ryusho gets shot. He gives the flash drive to Tatsuya and tells him to give it to Takanaka, but for some reason Tatsuya feels the need to look at it first. It has everything. Orders to kill the realtor, and Yuta's father, Ashura's involvement, everything. Tatsuya then gets a call from the secretary. They want the drive and are willing to offer Tatsuya the deed to Dragon Heat. Guess where the trade's going down? Millennium Tower. Tatsuya is ready to head over, but the punk kids who underwent their own development throughout the game are ready to sacrifice themselves to help. Aww. Psych! Catch these hands. Tatsuya knocks out his own people because he's not willing to sacrifice anyone else. He's going full Kiryu on this one. He makes a quick stop to hit up Tenma and Mirai, that girl Akita mentioned before getting shot. Mirai used to be friends with the girl that died waiting for the liver transplant. Ryo was her boyfriend, and he worked tirelessly to raise money for the operation when it was her turn. Then we see this Twinkie-eating douchebag throwing around daddy's money and hanging out with tick-tock gold diggers. Ryo meets up with him and they leave. Tatsuya eventually makes it to Millennium Tower and, as always, has to fight off an army of security guards. I thought the bad guys wanted to make a trade. Wouldn't they be worried if Tatsuya saw all these guards and was like, yeah, fuck this. Just gonna go take this incriminating information to the police and press. Deuces. As he's getting his Kiryu on and beating the hell out of endless waves of guards, the Mad Dragon is finally starting to feel fatigued. Ah, shit. The homies he knocked out are here to help, and somehow 3 teenagers are enough to occupy the rest of the security force while Tatsuya heads to the roof. Of course the deal's on the roof. Of course there's a fucking helicopter for no reason. And of course after Tatsuya beats the hell out of the secretary, Tsurumi pulls a gun. Tsurumi does the bad guy thing and starts justifying his bullshit, but then breaks cardinal rule number 1. He started talking about Tatsuya's mama. Then he takes it a step further and starts talking shit about Makoto. Tatsuya's had enough and is all like, ah! And rushes Tsurumi.
Falcon punch!
Been waiting for that for 2 whole games. Fuck you and your shitty porn mustache. After Tsurumi gets straight clocked, his own gun is stuffed down his throat.
Finish him.
But our man is better than that.
Mercy.
Remember, character development. Of course, we're not done though because Ryo's here. What? Why? Holy shit. He's not actually blind? This whole thing was a plot to get revenge on Tsurumi because he's the reason his girlfriend died. Tsurumi paid off the doctor to alter the transplant waiting list so he could save his spoiled Twinkie head ass piece of shit son, who Ryo ended up kidnapping. Ryo tells the son he knows about his misdeeds and will keep quiet if he kills his own father. Are you fucking serious? He's going to do it? This whole family is fucked. Tatsuya's feet say, nah fam, it's not going down like that. Then Ryo does the iconic shirt rip and starts glowing like he's the Nine Tails chakra mode, but Tatsuya hits back with, bet you didn't know, there's a dragon under my shirt. Mad Dragon beats Fake Blind Man and Ryo's on the floor all kinds of messed up. Quick side note, as I do more of these explain videos, the same tropes RGG does every game are honestly starting to get old. For example, who let the fucking bad guy pick up the gun again? Again! Every fucking game. No one watches the goddamn gun. You're on the roof of the Millennium Tower. Why didn't you throw it off the fucking building? God damn it, man. Anyway, Tsurumi shoots. Ryo's post-beating change of heart spurs him to take the bullet. Also, Ryo's live streaming this whole thing, and Tsurumi's corruption has finally come to light. In the middle of all this, Ryo has an existential crisis because Tatsuya's character is too much for him. He starts yelling like a child while Tatsuya calmly gives him the endgame Kiru speech. Ryo shoots, grazes Tatsuya's cheek, and if you were questioning if Tatsuya was badass, stop now because the homie didn't even flinch. He's all like, it's okay, but if you're gonna shoot me, stop being a pussy and shoot straight. Tatsuya makes Ryo finally see that you can change your fate, but he does it by shooting himself in the head. The cops finally show up, Tsurumi proves he's a coward by taking his own life, good riddance, screw that guy, and it's finally over. Kamado Vegas has been halted, the homies continue to do their thing at Dragon Heat, and Ryo could never see the future. He just played roulette at casinos he owned and used Ashura to make sure his prophecies came true. Tatsuya and Takanaka talk about destiny, and Tatsuya does the Japanese fist pump move before heading off to create his own future. And that's Kurohyou 2. Remember, you are in charge of your own destiny. Don't let creepy fake blind people tell you how to live your life. If you enjoy these videos, please be sure to like, subscribe, or hit that notification bell, or don't. I'm definitely not going to tell you how to live your life. Don't forget to let me know in the comments what other games do you all want to see. We've already done a ton of other explain videos, so make sure you check those out as well. I'm La Muerte Blanca, and I'll catch y'all next time.